guys, this is Shadow Ice Man 16 again. This is for part 9 of Innocence Lure, Jeff the Killer love story. And if you guys have been reading so far, you know how intense it's been getting now, and hopefully that this part and for the next couple chapters are going to be really calming now. But as if you saw in the last part, towards the end, there was craziness. So let's get it going and see what happens. Alrighty. So next chapter, recovery. I couldn't breathe. I could barely move. Blood was all over me, and my stitched up wounds were reopened. The ash of the destroyed house was on me, and I was unable to do anything. The grass was tinted by the lick of the fire and explosion, and the trees leaned back from impact. It was so quiet, and that only made me worry even more. Was everyone alright? Please, God, keep them safe. Are you guys alright? I stuttered as I attempted to move my beaten body. From the looks of me, you would guess I'd been involved in this war for many years now. A veteran to the society, but that wasn't even close. And I wasn't haunted by the sounds that came to my ears. Everyone was groaning, the grass crunching from weight, thuds from the inability to get up. A whimper was heard, and I slowly moved my head up a bit. Smile? I dug my fingers into the mushy dirt and dragged myself painfully to the sound of the dog's pain. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if he died. I wouldn't. Smiles lay whimpering, his body bloodied and his legs broken. He was so helpless, and I didn't know what to do. Smile let out a yelp of pain as I lay on one single finger on his leg. I pulled it back and dragged myself a bit closer, trying my best to aid the poor creature. If only my heart was at ease, knowing that no one was dead. Ben's point of view. I leaned up a bit, gaining a bit of pain from my broken ribs. I looked around, and some dust, ash, and smoke was in the air. Fogging up my sight, I heard Ariel's voice earlier, and it made me relax knowing at least someone was alive. Now all I had to do was make sure everyone else was. I forced myself to get up through all the pain and staggered a bit when I finally had. I limped through the clouds that touched the earth and tumbled over something. The body was motionless and not moving, and I couldn't make out who it was. They had black hair, and I was instantly worried for Jeff. I turned the face over a bit and saw Miss P, dead and cold on the unforgiving ground. The debris that was a sharp plank was through her stomach area, and I couldn't help but shed a few tears at our lost family member. "But Ben, is that you?" someone asked. I turned around and saw Slendy getting up as slow as possible, thriving off of any part of him that wasn't her. His arm was basically ripped to shreds, and he had a broken leg. He looked at Miss P and stayed quiet for a second. He didn't move, didn't say a word, but just stood there through everything. I didn't know what I wanted him to say, but I wanted him to fill the void. It hurt more than I thought it would, and I couldn't keep myself from getting emotional. "Say something, anything," I said sadly. I'm gonna repeat this part again. Sorry. I'm gonna also try to stop saying sorry all the time. So yeah. Okay. "Say something, anything," I said sadly. I wish I could say everything will be okay. "But I don't think it will be. Not now," he replied. Jeff's point of view. I couldn't just lay here. I wasn't going to. She needs me. But I don't know where she is. Are you guys alright? You guys alright? Her voice asked. I sighed with some relief and rolled over, pushing the palm of my hands against the ground. My arms were black and red, the stains of pain and hurt. My hands colored with the destruction. I staggered towards her voice, gaining some help from the trees along the way. While I was headed that way, I saw Bob, or at least what I made out to be Bob. It seems that he had managed to take more of the blow. His gray skin was charred and his torso ripped. How did it come to this? I was taken out of my inspection as I heard crying not far away. I rushed as fast as I could and found a knelt over Ariel, picking up his hurting smile. She was attempting to stand, and I came over to keep her steady. She flicked from my touch and looked over to see me. Her eyes were red with tears that tried to their best to cleanse the dirt off her bloody and dark face. "Are you okay?" I asked. Yeah, she cried softly. I held out my arms to grab Smile, and she gently gave him to me. The boy was hanging on as much as he could, but I knew that if we didn't find help, he would eventually die. "We have to find something," she said, walking up next to me. "What? The house is destroyed. Everything," I said glumly. Never had I ever felt so useless, unable to do anything. "It would seem you guys need a hand," Slendy said, coming out of the shadow of the trees. "How are you not hurt?" Ariel questioned. "I had to get a certain someone to safety," he replied, revealing a fragile Sally behind him. She seemed horrified by the scene behind us and us ourselves. I couldn't blame her. This was her home for who knows how long, and now it's gone. "Here, use this to keep Smile going," Spunley said as he ripped off a piece of his polka dotted suit and threw it to us. Sally ran over and hugged us, trying her best to help us as well, but he pulled away quickly and started looking around. "Where's Slendy?" she asked vacantly. "Here, child," Slendy said, staggering up to us. Slendy, is everyone okay?" Ariel asked. "Miss P didn't make it." Slendy seemed like he was about to cry. Masky, Hoodie, and Jack walked up slowly, their normal vibes completely erased due to the damage physically and emotionally. Ben was looking down as he came forward, and I could tell he was crying. "Bob didn't make it either," I added. Everyone heard it and straightened up more, but instantly became more depressed. Ariel backed up and away from everyone, holding her hands together. "This is my fault," she blamed herself. "It's all my fault. If I hadn't been found, if I had just gone with my friends instead of coming here, you guys wouldn't have been hurt. No one would have died. It's all my fault," she continued as her cries grew harder. She held her hands to her face and cried into them, choking on her sobs. "It's not. It's not. You have no control over these people. Don't Las Silver said as he came forward, also recovering. "It is though. It's all started with me," she argued. "No, it's not," I muttered. "What?" she said, looking at me. "None of this is your fault. You didn't know these people were going to do this to us," I said as my voice got louder. She seemed to take aback by my outburst, but I wasn't finished. "You're the best thing that has happened to me. I'd rather have this happen than not ever meeting you," I confessed. "I am not as in love with you as Jeff, but You are one of us. You didn't cause this. You have been a highlight in our lives, and you have made us happy. Don't think that it's your fault. And I'm sure Bob and Miss P would have said the same. Sunny put in. She gave a small smile and stood there. Thank you, she sniffled. Sunny took smile from me, and I instantly made my way to her, wrapping her in my arms. Don't think that I don't care about you, ever, I said into her ear. She snuggled her head into my shoulder, and I held her tighter. Thank you so much, she said, sobbing slightly. Ariel's point of view. It's been so long since that happened. 3 months, in fact. We were trying to fix up the house again and rebuild it to its former glory. Smile was healed but barely made it, and I'm glad to say he did. Everyone emotionally and physically did the same, and it was a group protecting to build the house and ourselves back together. The shadow hunters and the other creepypastas blew up our house just to make us weak, attacking us at our worst. But we pulled through, and they were shocked, needless to say, confused that we were so strong after the attack. And of course, they had recorded the whole attack to show to the world that they had been winning. From that point on, I had vowed that I would do anything to protect him, if I really needed to. I would have to kill, but the thought of that made me a bit sad. I didn't want to harm my friends. I didn't want to be a traitor towards them. Come on, Masky, help me paint the house. I want to rest. Eddie whined as he was brushing the house with the dark paint. I'll be right there. Don't get your panties in a twist, Masky said as he reluctantly went over to paint. You got it wrong. Hoodie wears women's tea. Jack started. Don't you dare finish that sentence. Virgin tears. And Jeff pointed at Sally, who was oblivious to everything. Ha! Ha! Virgin tears. And Jack joked as he pointed to me. I put my hand on my hip and smiled. Unfortunately, my world has already said things like that. Therefore, I cannot be badly affected, I proclaimed. What was that, virgin ears? I couldn't quite listen over the bullcrap I was hearing. Jack laughed as he held a hand up to his ear. Cut it out, Jeff chuckled as he punched Jack in the arm. Jack rubbed it and went back to carrying things into the almost finished house. I have something to show you, he whispered. I was hoping it was a thing that he'd gone off to during his housework. He always seemed to disappear, and some of our supplies with it. Was he rebuilding something that I didn't know? But I was sure I was going to find out. Okay, I said with a smile. Next chapter. Things are getting better. I was being carried by Jeff into the familiar woods. I didn't really feel like leaving everyone behind right now, but I wanted to know what he was taking me to. What he was planning on showing me. I needed to know. What are you going to do? What are you going to show me? I asked. Man, you are an anxious young woman, he laughed. Young woman? When have you started being formal? I questioned with a smile. He turned to start walking backwards, and he grinned. Since I met you, I can be a true gentleman. You should know that, he smirked. Well then, Mr. Gentleman, continue leading the way, preferably facing the right way, I said. He turned to face forward with a smile and almost ran into a tree. That's why, I snickered. He turned his face to mine and chuckled. Come here, you little, he said, lifting me over his shoulders. Jeff, the killer, put me down, I giggled. Nope, he replied. I sighed playfully and relaxed. Giving in, are we? He asked. Well, unless I become She-Hulk, it's probably not gonna happen. Unless I can reach your tickle spot, I said with a laugh. He seemed to tense at the second of the tickle spot. I don't have a tickle spot, he said. I agreed mischievously. He started running out faster, and I started laughing harder. I love the sense of adventure it brings me because I've always been interested in excitement and new things. The whistle of the wind flew by, and my only viewpoint was the places we've previously been. Here we are, he said, finally setting me down. I smiled and turned around to see the same lake he'd taken me to when he'd first confessed his feelings. What is it with you? What is it you have to show me? I asked, turning to him. Look over here, he replied as he pointed in a direction. I followed his eyes, and I saw a mini house next to the lake. It was a long cabin that was one floor but was perfect in my eyes. I looked at the building in amazement, and my gaze went to his. You made this? I asked, surprised. He nodded his head and took my hand, leading me to it. It's ours. Well, in case anything bad happens again. He said that the last part nervously. I smiled and kissed him on the cheek. I love it. We should live here, I said happily. He widened his eyes and even more and smiled. I think that's an awesome idea, he agreed. The house was everything I've ever wanted. It was in a brighter part of the woods. Most of the other woods were dark and depressing. The cabin had a bright full garden behind it and a perfect view of the lake. There were two clear windows in the front, separating by a classy wooden door. It was perfect. Without any time to think, Jeff picked me up and started carrying me to the house. This is a good turn from the once depressing feeling everyone's been in for so long. Next chapter. Tired of waiting. What the hell are we waiting for? Jane asked angrily. We need to wait, Luke replied, annoyed. For what? They already have their own house fixed up. What are we waiting for? The great fairies to help us? She questioned, raising her voice. Don't worry. The other world believes we are winning, and we need to keep it that way, Luke argued. Oh yeah, because in reality we are. We can't kill them off at their weakest. You guys are so useless, Jane spat. Luke, Tom, Ash, and I straightened up. Michael and them stayed quiet. Excuse me? You haven't done anything either, I thought. She turned her attention to me and raised an eyebrow. We're the ones that flushed them out of their house. What the hell did you guys do? Stood there, ran away like a bunch of scared puppies. What are you afraid of? You could have killed them, but your love towards Ariel is getting in the way, she pointed out. I grew with rage and got in her face. You don't dictate me, I hissed. Maybe not, but I can kill you. And I'm sure your buddies aren't a huge fan of you not doing your job, she said with a grin. Fuck off, I growled. Not before we do what we're supposed to. Now you're idiots ready to fight again and win. Or are you gonna sit on your asses and not do shit? She asked, gathering all the other creepypastas up. Luke sighed, annoyed, and got up from the log he was sitting on. We'd all been sitting around a fire in a campsite, planning on what to do, but Jane, of course, was more of a run-in, think-last person. Her anger to the two creepypastas who were still in secret were making her even more insane. She wanted them gone so much, and it was so obvious. The rest of her servants were just along for the ride, I suppose. They didn't really oppose to her, though the rake was all on board of killing them. His reasons weren't out in the open. Tom got up as well, and so did Ash. Michael and them followed. Luke and them weren't a huge fan that they were here, but I managed to convince them that perhaps we could get Ariel to give us information. I mean, she is our friend, so that possibly isn't out of the question yet, but I can't help but feel that she's angry with us about the bombing. Why wouldn't she though? We basically almost killed her, and I tried getting the bomb out of Jane's hand, but it didn't work. That's why she grew to hate me so much, but we got along so that we could fulfill some of her mission. Where are you guys going? I questioned. Where do you think? Jane's right. We can't just sit here and let them get stronger. They're almost at full strength, and if we wait now, we might not be able to outdo them, Luke answered. I jolted up and grabbed my gun. Are we still going to save Ariel? Michael asked. Jane sighed and stared at the boy. You and Clark are starting to really piss me off. Realize she's not your friend anymore. She could care less if you were alive or not, especially since you hurt her precious family, killing 2 of them, she said. Michael seemed affected by the thought of Ariel hating all of them, and you could tell hating them, and you could tell everyone else was affected by it as well. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to attack them like that, Lainey said to Michael secretly. But it was evident that Jane had heard, and she was walked up to Lainey, getting in her face. What was that, you little brat? She spat. You can say whatever you want, but get out of her face. You can say what you want, but get out of her face, I said. Jane looked at me and straightened up, glancing a hand on her hip. I can't wait to get rid of you guys' presence. Let's just get going. I'm tired of waiting for nothing, she said, leading away into the forest. I'm tired of waiting too. It's time to get the upper hand, a voice said. To be truthful, it wasn't quite that scary, since he kind of sounded like King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph, and God knows he's not scary, but I was on my guard, for I knew he wasn't on our side. Not the slightest bit. Everyone started looking around and got defensive, except for Jane. Oh no, it's Splenderman. I'm shaking in my shoes, she said, faking her fear. That's a lot you don't know about me, dearie. The being who must be Splendy, said, getting a bit creepier. Just the way he said it made me feel uneasy, and I knew that wasn't a good thing. Everyone knew that, even Jane. Ariel's point of view. That night we went out on a scouting trip to see if we could locate the humans' campsite. We started doing this ever since the bombing incident, and I thought it was a good idea, and so did everyone else. I was looking around, my eyes peeled for any sight or sign for their location. Have you even gotten any leads as to where their campsite is? Ben asked Splendy. Well, if Charlie's information is correct, we should be heading right for it. I trust that he does a good job, Splendy replied. Ben looked like he was about to say something else, but didn't, and decided to look forward into the shadows of the trees. We crept along the woodsy trail and tried to keep quiet, but the sound of our footsteps crunching through the grass and leaves wasn't doing any good. However, the smell of campfire smoke came to my nose, and I stopped instantly. Everyone turned to face me, and I held a finger up to my lips, signaling to stay quiet as possible. They both nodded and started sneaking even quieter through the trees. I can't wait to get rid of your guys' presence. Just get going. I'm tired of waiting for nothing. Jane's familiar voice cut through the air. Splendy snuck forward a bit more and stood up straight. I'm tired of waiting too. It's time to get the upper hand, Splendy said into the space that they occupied. They all looked around curiously, standing up defensively, but Jane just stood still and snickered. "Oh no, it's Splendorman. I'm shaking in my shoes," she said, holding up her hands in fake defense. Splendorman shook his head, fully aware they couldn't see him, but it was obvious he was laughing to himself. There's a look you don't know about me, dearie," Splendy snickered. His tentacles came out of his back and into the ground. Ben and I looked at each other in confusion and looked forward to see the ground was bumping up like a groundhog was digging towards them. Suddenly, they came out of the ground and started grabbing and hitting everyone. I was truly amazed at what he was really capable of. "Wow," I let out. "Didn't know I could do that, did you? Those stories make me look like a pussy." Splendy laughed as one of the hunters hit Jane. "Remind me not to get on your bad side," Ben chuckled. For once, we had the upper hand, and I was glad we were winning. Next chapter. Let's get this going. "Oh, it's on you, pieces of shit. When I get to you, I'll kill all of you with a passion," Jane growled. We laughed at her threat and backed away from the site that she and the rest were at. I wasn't afraid of her and never will be, though I must admit I was when she had first attacked me, but this is done, and over with it now, but that is done and over with now. I can't stand her, and I can't live with the fact she is so corrupted in the head. Splendy grabbed Ben and I and took us back to the house, everyone planning on what to do next. Where Charlie led us was right. We found their site, I said, walking up to Jeff. "What's happened? Did they realize you were there?" Splendy asked curiously. "Not until Splendy handed them their asses." "Did anyone know he was so cool?" Ben laughed as he walked over to the couch to sit down. "What did you do, brother?" Splendy questioned. "I showed them how to fly." Splendy chuckled. Splendy laughed, and so did everyone else. We were all optimistic now that we had a foot over them, and we didn't want it to stop. "So, what's our next plan of attack?" Character change. Blah. "So, what's our next plan of attack?" Jeff asked. "Well, we decided to try and use hidden spots to get information on them. I've assigned spots to Matthew, Hoodie, and Lost Silver for that job. Jeff, you, and Ariel, since you two seem to work quite well together, will be doing defense. Ariel will alert us of any attack and relies on her sight and the ninjas over there," Jack said, pointing to an excited Masky and Hoodie. "I'm down with that," Jeff said with a smile. "Sally, you will have Charlie get supplies from them. If we find that they have gotten an increase on weapons, send Charlie out to retrieve them so we're not outdone or overwhelmed. Splendy and Slendy will be last resort if anything goes bad, but until then, we'll back Ariel and Jeff up in a different scouting area. I will stay on Masky, Hoodie, and Lost Silver's team. Smile will guard alongside with Granny and in hidden areas," Jack finished. "What about me?" Ben whined. "You will help us with gadgets, eyes in the sky. We need as much backup on the ground. We work as one and we'll stick together. Everyone hands in," Jack said, putting his hand in. signaling for everyone to do the same. For family, everyone smiled and threw their hands in their air. In the air. Sorry. For family, we screamed. Now, let's get this going, shall we? Jack smirked. Clark's point of view. See, that just proves what they can do. I didn't even know that. One of our comrades got his neck snapped in half and died. She gestured to one of the recruits that was lifeless on the ground. We get it. We need to attack, but what will we do? What's our layout? I asked. Here, I drew things for us, Luke said, spreading out a map. From what we've gathered, this is the map of the whole world, or at least what we've seen. Clark, you and your friends will be the closest to them. You are her friends, so if she sees you, you guys will have a better chance of surviving against them. Tom, Ash, and I will be from afar, as if ready if anything goes bad. Jane, I need you guys to, Luke was explaining. I don't need you telling me how to run all of this. We know more about this place than you do, and so far, that plan will crumble right from the get-go. What makes you think she'll give them a chance after all the things they've put her through? She would gladly kill them off, Jane stated. You obviously don't know Ariel, like we do. No matter what, Ariel is willing to forgive and forget, Michael argued. Ha! Okay, let's see how well that goes when she's about to have her lover shove a knife through your heart. Where will she be then? She questioned. Right behind him, trying to get him off of us, Michael proclaimed. She shook her head at his stupidity and turned her attention back to Luke and them. I suggest you listen to me. I know these people better than you. I have dealt with them longer, and know this area better, Jane said. Luke rolled his eyes and sighed. We need to cooperate if this is to work out. Understood? So you can either listen to me and actually have a working plan, or run in there and get yourselves killed, because I'm pretty sure they hate you guys the most, Luke pointed out. Oh, like she's sugarcane and rainbows with humans. Last I recall, you guys tried to execute her in public, Jane laughed. And you haven't attempted to kill them before us? Perhaps that is something you need to recall instead of us. Worry about yourself, like Luke spat. Gladly. When you guys are slaughtered, I'll happily repeat those words, Jane hissed. She grabbed the others and began to walk away when she stopped and turned her head to look at us. I'll be back, so don't think I'm leaving for good. Might as well get a head start, she said snobbish-like, and continued to walk into the woods from which Splendy came. I'm starting to really regret making that deal, Luke sighed as he rubbed his temple. He could do what he liked, but one thing was on my agenda that I was definitely putting in at first. Save Ariel and get her to a safer place. I wasn't about to let anyone hurt her again, and Michael and them were also thinking the same thing. Next chapter. Last chapter of Part 8. Part 9. Sorry. It begins. Ben, you got a visual? I asked into the walkie-talkie. Yep, we got Jane and her crew headed eastward. The humans are following, but some are heading west, Ben replied. Got it. Any obstacles of Jane's path? I questioned. There's the famous cliff, that's it, Ben replied. Got it. I lowered the walkie-talkie. Jane is heading east, ready to engage? asked him. He smirked and nodded, beginning to get up from crouching. He started making our way and headed towards the direction Jane and the others were. Ben, how far away are we? I asked. Just a few feet or so. Be careful, they could see you, Ben replied. I put the walkie-talkie back down and into my white pocket that was strapped around my thigh. I started sneaking down to behind a bush and straw and saw Jane, clueless, walking towards the cliff. I turned to Jeff, who was watching them just as instantly as I was. He looked to me and I gave him a nod, signaling him to start the chase. He opened a pack and picked up a knife. He tossed it up and caught it by its tip. Instantly, he threw it towards Tail and hit him down. The rest looked around, surprised, and got in defensive positions. I gave him another nod, and he got out another one. He threw it at Enderman, and it is him and hits him in the arm. Enderman did what sounded like a static growl and yanked it out of the black cubed arm. Jane sneered and began to run away. Me getting up to follow her. Take care of them, I'll get her, I yelled behind me to Jeff. I started dipping and dodging through the trees, trying to keep my eyes on Jane. I had to admit she was fast, but I wasn't about to let her get away from me so quickly. I opened the other bag I had and got a shuriken out of it and threw it at her, hitting her right in the back. She hissed in pain and yanked it out, but continued to run. As we were running, I remembered we were headed right for the cliff. Jane! I screamed after her. She completely ignored me and continued running as I tried my best to catch up to her. Jane, stop! I shouted. She turned her head to the side so she could see me out of the corner of her eye. Oh, please, how dumb do I look? She spat. Jane, wait, I said as she looked forward. Right before her was a cliff that led to the who knows what. Ever since I came here, I started to learn about this place, and no one knows what created this cliff. Some say it was a border to the world, edge of it. But one thing was for sure. You would die. She took one step off the ground and fell forward towards the darkness. Her screams echoed into the pit. I got a burst of energy and ran as fast as I could to get to her. Why I even cared was beyond me. I guess it was just my personality. As soon as she was about to fall, I caught her and yanked her back up to the grass. She stumbled back and had a look of shock and fear on her face from the near-death experience, but that was unneeded, since she had already basically died. Why did you save me? She questioned with a tint of hate in her voice. Because no matter what you do to me, we're still family, I replied. She eyed me confused and sneered. What bullcrap are you trying to feed me? She hissed. None. What would be the point of that? I questioned. She stood there thinking for a second, but never opened her mouth. There's one of them, Emil shouted. I turned my attention to the woods and saw that one of the recruits was coming at me, gun aimed at me. Ben! I screamed up into the air as I saw one of his flying buddies making its way towards the area I was at. Got it. I heard the crackle of the walkie-talkie. The Zeppelin aimed and shot down the man before me, revealing Luke right behind him. Jane, finish her, Luke commanded. Jane eyed me like candy, and I widened my eyes. Jeff came out of the bushes as well and ran towards Jane as I saw her take out a gun for the bag she had. No, Jeff screamed as he bolted towards her. I gasped as I saw her aim it right at me and pulled the trigger. Well, guys, that's it for part 9. Oh, this part, I know it's starting to get kind of sad, but let's see how it will begin in the next part. There's only going to be 2 more parts, and that's going to be the end of the story. So, be ready, because more will have to come. So, make sure that you guys are ready, and now I'm gone. See you in the next part. Bye.